Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This NFL season has been wild. We are in week 6. This is Snap, the Pigskin. I'm Noah Clark here. We got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the Bengals benching Jake Browning and trading for Joe Flacco, an interdivision trade. The Eagles and Bills both suffered their first loss of the year. There are no more unbeaten teams. What happens next through the rest of the season here for both of these teams? The NFL. Just talking about some weird, wild stuff that's going on as well. And a little rant that I'm on about international games and random doubleheader Monday night football games. And we got our Bring Home the Bacon and our Pigskin Primetime Picks. So let's get right into it here. And we start with our drive of the week. First down, the Cincinnati Bengals benching Jake Browning. For the Cincinnati Bengals, they made a trade as well. They went out and got Joe Flacco, one of the best quarterbacks, best backup quarterbacks, if you would, in the game. And mind you, too, with Joe Flacco already has started a game, has played already this season 4 games for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's played decently well, or sorry, not for the Bengals, for the Browns. He's decently played well. Only one win against the Green Bay Packers, who they play again, who Joe Flacco is going to face again this week on Sunday at home in Green Bay. It's wild that they went with Joe Flacco. They had other quarterbacks there. Another thing is that Jake Browning has not been playing well. He's not been playing well at all. And this is just kind of a kick for him to just kind of be back on the bench, and they needed a desperation move. You look at Cincinnati right now, nothing has gone kind of their way this season, so the Bengals needed to pull this trigger. They don't have Joe Burrow, but they do have Joe Flacco. So congratulations there. What does this mean, though? Like in terms of this trade, for Cincinnati, this is a desperation move. I mean, this is, and I can't believe I'm saying this with the fact that they're going with a 40-some-year-old Joe Flacco at quarterback. I mean, the Bengals right now 2-3 in the AFC North. Pittsburgh's leading that division, and they're still hanging around. You know, they've won one division game. They're 2-1 in conference play. Their offense has not really got going ever since Joe Burrow got hurt. And you look at it, 85 points scored in the first 5 games of the season. Cincinnati needs to pick it up. They've also allowed 156 points as well this season. And I think for the Bengals, yeah, they're 2-3, but they need to pick it up. They need to pick it up. Joe Burrow's not going to be coming around anytime soon. They need somebody to step in. And this is a guy who can step in and deliver. I mean, we saw it 2 seasons ago when Flacco led the Browns to the playoffs and led them to the playoffs. And I think he won Comeback Player of the Year when he led the Browns to the playoffs. So, you know, there is some magic there with Joe Burrow. It's more of, can they win with him now? We'll see how he does on Sunday. Cleveland on the other side of this. It's very interesting. It is very interesting. They're rolling with the 2 rookie quarterbacks right now. They're rolling, I guess, with Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel. And at some point, I mean, this is going to be Shedeur Sanders' spot. This is going to be Shedeur Sanders' spot. He's going to be QB1. He's somehow going to find a way. And Dylan Gabriel is going to have to, watch his back, keep his head on the swivel, because everybody in Cleveland and the media and the NFL media all want Shedeur to start. They all want to see what he can do. Honestly, I don't think he's going to be that good. I don't think he's going to play that well. I think if you're a Browns fan, you'd rather have Dillon Gabriel in there just to see what he's got. I mean, one of the more successful quarterbacks in college, one of the more accurate quarterbacks in college as well. Yeah, he did struggle against the Vikings in week 1 in his first game, and it was in London, so it doesn't really help that he has to not only start his first game, but he has to start his first game overseas. So that's tough. I remember saying at the beginning of the year, don't be surprised if we see all 4 Browns quarterbacks get a chance to start. We've already seen Kenny Pickett get some playing time. We've seen Joe Flacco get some playing time now. Dillon Gabriel now is on the bench, is up on the mound, and Shedeur Sanders is waiting in the bullpen, waiting in the wings. We still got a lot of season left here, Browns fans. Are you ready to see your 42nd quarterback starting for your team? Which is wild to me because you look at the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if anybody can name all the Cleveland Browns starting quarterbacks off the top of their head, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And Dillon Gabriel is just adding to that list. Like at this point, too, they need to name. I saw a tweet about this. They need to name like these quarterbacks like they're the presidents. Like Dillon Gabriel is the 41st quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Like it's getting to that point. Like when you're at 41 quarterbacks, that's an insane number. Insane number. And so I'm curious how the Browns are going to do this the rest of the year. Kevin Stefanski also is trying to keep his job, and he's going to have to ride with 2 rookie quarterbacks, and he's going to have to ride with them all the way. And I think it's going to be a tough sell. It's going to be a tough sell to try and get those guys going, try and get them going. So there's that. But the Browns play, I believe, are on a bye this week. Give me one sec here. Cleveland is not on a bye. They have the Steelers this week, the Aaron Rodgers Steelers. A loss for Cleveland does not put them in a very good spot. They only have 1 win, and it's against Green Bay, but a loss to Pittsburgh puts them at 1-5 on the year, and they would be kind of in the cellar, which is already starting to get some company down there with the Saints. With the Saints, the Giants, the Raiders, the Titans, and the Jets, who are 0-5. They have not won a game. The Dolphins, the Ravens also are on there, which that's a whole nother thing to talk about here that we'll get into later on. But the company of the NFL draft order is starting to form here, so we'll see what the NFL draft order looks like. But yeah, this is a desperation move for both teams to kind of save their season and potentially for their head coaches to save their job. Moving forward, second down now. We did have a couple upsets, and the last couple teams lost in the NFL. The Eagles and the Bills both lost their games. They both suffered their first loss of the year. There are no more unbeatens, and the 97 and the 72 Dolphins can once again raise a glass to being the only team, regular season and postseason, to go undefeated in NFL history. The only undefeated team in NFL history to ever do that. For the Eagles and the Bills, though, the Eagles lost to the Denver Broncos, and that was actually a pretty good game. It was a pretty good game. Denver played particularly pretty well. I mean, it was a hard-fought game. Broncos went for 2 to take the lead. Sean Payton had some huge church bells and went for it, and they got it. 2-point conversion. Eagles, unfortunately, could not capitalize. Jalen Hurts and the crew couldn't get it done. The Eagles take their first loss of the season to the Broncos. Huge stuff brewing there in the NFC West, which is starting to once again become a really interesting division. Because given the fact You have the Commanders. You have the Cowboys who, yeah, they have a tie, but their offense looks legit. Their offense looks really good. They look really scary. And this is a team that is this year's Vikings, basically. A team that we saw in the preseason didn't look like they were going to have a lot of skill talent. And now this year they're sitting 2-1, but their offense is really dictating what they want to do. If they can just figure out the defensive side, they'll be good. So that NFC East is very competitive right now. And the Eagles need to kind of hang on. They play the Giants on Thursday Night Football. So New York could potentially, if they pull off the upset, this could be a very interesting race. If the Giants beat the Eagles on Thursday Night Football and the Commanders win and the Cowboys win, this is a really, really interesting race now for the division title in week 6. But the Eagles got to get right. Now, on the AFC, for the Bills lost a tough one. And it's the same thing with the NFC East, or with the NFC East now in the AFC East. Buffalo has been very much the big bad bully in that division, especially NFC West. And this has been a kind of a matchup that, I was shocked by the score and why the score is like this. You look at in recent history, the Bills and Patriots, this has been kind of a back and forth rivalry matchup. If you go back to the days of Tom Brady and when Brady was winning all those matchups against the Bills and Buffalo never really had a shot at a division title, and the Patriots beat up on the Bills, it was kind of one-sided. You look at it now, then all of a sudden they get Josh Allen, they get Sean McDermott, they get a couple pieces in there. Now all of a sudden the Bills team starts winning games, starts trying to compete with Tom Brady and the Patriots. They still never broke through until after Brady left. And once Brady left, the Bills kind of took that division over. And they have been kind of the big bad bully on the block for the last several seasons. They have won that division with ease over the last several seasons. Up until, this season, the Bills were projected to win the AFC East. That may change now with the Patriots, New England, and Drake May walking in to Highmark Stadium and just taking the crown potentially, or throwing a little bit of a jab at the kings of the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. And it was a great game for New England. They were able to pull out this win, able to get in on Sunday Night Football in front of a national audience. And now everybody in the AFC East could potentially say, hey, we got to watch out for the Patriots. Got to watch out for New England, especially the Bills. Bills are like, hey, we got to watch out for the Patriots now. New England, I will give credit when, if you look at the NFL and you look at the NFL's history, it's always, and I know some people will judge me, but it's always good when there's one team from Boston that's competitive. Doesn't matter what team, whether you're the Patriots, the Celtics, the Red Sox, or even the Bruins. Doesn't matter who's bad. Doesn't matter who. It's always interesting when there's a Boston team that's competing and competing for championships. And New England is one of those teams that always, back then with Tom Brady, was competing for championships. You look at the New England Patriots, they could potentially be competing not for a championship per se, but they could make life really hard for the Buffalo Bills the next few seasons. And it not only starts with the Patriots, but it starts with the fact of how they even got to this point. And how they got to this point was getting rid of Bill Belichick, getting rid of Gerard Mayo, completely redoing the entire New England Patriot system, getting an actual GM for this organization, or as if you call it, director of football personnel, getting a new quarterback and just building that thing up. And it all culminated to this. And Drake May played well. I mean, I shouldn't say he played well. He outplayed Josh Allen, 273 yards. He had 273 yards in this game. He did not throw a passing touchdown in this game, but Ramondre Stevenson kind of was the bell cow for most of this game. I mean, 2 touchdowns in the game against the Patriots. No receiving touchdowns from the Patriots receivers, but it was kind of one of those games where New England just kind of fought their way, clawed their way into saying we're not going to lose this game, and they didn't. So now Bills are a game and a half, or a game, not a game and a half. Bills are a game ahead of the Patriots for the AFC East division lead, but New England's creeping. And if you're a Bills fan, you don't have to be worried just yet, but you got to keep the Patriots on your radar at this point. At some point, got to keep the Patriots on the radar. And New England is going to be going to New Orleans. They're going to play the Saints. The Saints are 1-4. New Orleans has only won 1 game this year. It's against the Giants. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen here the rest of the way? Buffalo, though, too. Even with Buffalo, the Bills are still a relatively good team. They're still a relatively good team. But this is kind of a wake-up call for them because they've kind of coasted through this division for the last few seasons. And now there's somebody that wants to come and take that from you. And I'm curious if Buffalo will turn it on more down the stretch of this season, as we get into the halfway mark of this regular season. And will we see the Bills kind of turn it on here and start to blow some teams out? I hope so, but this is a very fun ride down to the finish. So now on to third down. We got to talk about this now, and you talk about wild. And I had to take my glasses off of this one. You talk about wild, and you talk about crazy. That is the NFL. There is no other sports league that I think has garnered wilder matchups, more incredible storylines, great history, great drama than the National Football League. And this year is another chapter of wild stuff. Like, for example, if you were to tell me that the Jaguars would be sitting in the AFC South, and even the Colts, the Jaguars and the Colts, if you were to tell me the Jaguars and the Colts would be sitting here in the AFC South as division leaders, and the Chiefs are 2-3 and the Ravens are 1-4, I would have not believed you. I would have laughed you out of the room. If you were also to tell me too that Daniel Jones all of a sudden is a franchise starting quarterback, a future starting quarterback for the Colts, I would have maybe also laughed you out of the room because of what is transpired, what transpired in New York. And it just even further now brings up the case of Brian Daboll. And maybe Brian Daboll's not a good coach. Maybe, he got lucky that 1 year in 2022. Something. But there is no way you can go into this season and expect normacy and just expect it to be normal. There's no way. So yeah, it's a wild season. And on top of that, it's, you go back in the past, look at what has happened the last 5 weeks leading up to the season. You had the Patriots beating the Bills, an upset there. You have Patriots beating the Bills, an upset there. The Jaguars on Monday night, upsetting I don't know what I want to call it upset, but they beat the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football in Jacksonville, which is shocking because the Chiefs, I said last week, they needed that kick in the pants to get them started on a winning streak, and now here we are. They're sitting they're sitting now 2-3. 2-3. They're third in the AFC West, which is wild. And the last thing, and this is the last thing too here, is on top of that, you have former NFL quarterback turned broadcaster Mark Sanchez, who I don't know if you saw the headlines about this, if anybody saw the headlines on this, but you had and this was like a day before he's calling a game too, former Jets quarterback, former Jets, Eagles, whatever quarterback, former quarterback Mark Sanchez getting arrested for, I guess, assaulting a man. And on top of that, he got stabbed. Mark Sanchez got stabbed and he went to the hospital and he went to court. This is a whole situation. He went to court for aggravated assault and he's facing charges and he might face prison. Like, he might face jail time right now. I mean, like, this is it's, you want to talk about wild. This is wild. We got announcers throwing haymakers at people and them getting stabbed. And I'm not trying to say, you know, I'm not trying to make it seem funny, but this is just wild stuff. Like, I did not think I'd wake up Saturday morning and see the headlines of Mark Sanchez getting stabbed to then later on, because I was at a wedding, to then later on find out, oh, Mark Sanchez is getting arrested for aggravated assault because he's the one who started it. I mean, like, it's a weird, this is a weird, wild, like, this is just weird and wild from the NFL this year. And it can only get weirder and wilder because we still got a long ways to go. Like, man, it just, I don't know how you can how you could fathom that. I mean, like, how can you even do that? Like, in a situation like that, you know, and especially too for Mark Sanchez. He's a grown ass man. Like, he is grown. He knows better than to pick a fight with anybody. And on top of that, you know, like, it's just common courtesy. Like, you don't, like, I understand. Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot that's tied into this whole thing. And I hope Mark Sanchez gets the help that he needs. I really hope that he does. I also hope for that guy that got injured, that got hurt, and I hope that he's okay, because you never want to see a person being put in a situation like that. He's not even famous. He's not famous or anything. He's not famous. He might be famous, but he might be famous for the wrong reasons. And we need to keep in mind too that, like, he's a person and he also is suffering from this. So I hope he's doing okay. They said too that it was a long road to recovery after what happened from Mark Sanchez. So Mark Sanchez might be facing a ton of jail time here, maybe a few years for that, but who knows? And yeah, it's just been a bonkers season. On top of that, like, we've already had a tie this year. Usually, that's the wild thing I've noticed. Usually when you have a tie, I feel like this is a thing, like, especially in the NFL, when you have a tie in the regular season for the National Football League, you know you're in for some wild stuff, or you know you've at least witnessed something wild, where both teams play like 60 minutes of football and then they have to play an extra 10 minutes only for for both teams to just not win. Like, that's crazy. And I mean, there's been some wilder stuff. I mean, I've seen it before where like the Chargers and the Raiders both played for a chance to get in the playoffs. But the funny thing is if either team tied with the other, both of them would be in the playoffs and they'd screw the other team over. So it's this NFL season is just bonkers. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. Bonkers is bonkers. Fourth down now, and I know we're kind of getting through this show relatively quickly, but the NFL news this week is slow. It is a slow NFL news week. There hasn't been much exciting news other than the fact that I'm just giving rants here, and this is another rant of mine with the international games and the Monday Night Football doubleheaders, because we're going to be doing Pigskin Primetime Picks again with 2 Monday Night doubleheaders. I'm so sick and tired of these international games. I'm so sick and tired of it. I know the NFL wants to grow their game, and I know the NFL wants to grow their game and grow their product around the world. I get that. But there are better ways to do it than trying and forcing international games on us during the regular season. There's just, it's too much. It's too much. And we look at the international games, like Roger Goodell even talked about it. He wants 16 international games a season, every season. And he wants all 32 teams to participate in an international game. Like, I can't. I for an NFL watching fan, I understand. Like any other fan, like if you're an international fan, I get you want to see what the NFL is all about. I get you want to be big into the international games. I get that. But what I also don't get is the fact of why are these games either starting late or starting super early. Like the fact that last week Browns-Vikings was an 8:30 kickoff. By the time the game ended, it was like 11 o'clock, and the NFL regular season afternoon slate, the early afternoon slate began. And it's like you have to – it's just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And on top of that, too, the quality of football is never good. It's never good. You never really get teams that are – relatively that make the score exciting. You never or just make it interesting. You get like these 20-17 games, you get the 10-13 games. You don't get like a 40 to you don't get like a 37-40 game, which a lot of fans probably across seas would love. They would love that. You just don't get those. And on top of that, you get a product that if there's not much scoring, there's not going to be much viewership, which understandably there is. What I would suggest from the NFL is this. Don't make your international games regular season. What the NFL should do is take a page out of what soccer does and play your preseason games overseas, play your preseason games in a stadium. It doesn't have to hurt the viewership. You could still make some money off of it. Even international fans are going to be puzzled and be like, what are going to be like, football, yay, woohoo. And you don't have to have teams travel overseas to where the quality of play is not good because they're probably jet lagged. Excuse me. So that's one idea. The other idea is just kill the international games altogether. I know that's not a solid option, and I know the NFL is never going to do that, but these international games are ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This is our third straight. We're on our third straight international game, and I am so freaking tired I'm so tired. Okay? And on top of the early morning start times, then we have the doubleheader Monday night games, which is this now is a new thing. This is the most ridiculous new thing that I have come to witness. Is why do we need to have two doubleheaders on Monday Night Football? And I mean, like, because before it was the double, you had the double. So a little backstory about this. The doubleheaders on Monday Night Football used to be at the beginning of the regular season. It was at the regular season. So week one, they'd have two doubleheaders. They'd have an early doubleheader, or they'd have an early game and a late game. And that's it. Now, the NFL has decided that the NFL, actually, I'm going to phrase that the NFL and ESPN have decided to make these games, like to make these doubleheaders a norm, to make these normal. And the reason why I say that it's normal is because you look at the last several weeks, like week 2, there was a doubleheader. Week 3, there was a doubleheader, I believe. Let me pull up this. I got to pull up this schedule now. So let's see. Week 1, there was no doubleheader. Week 2, there was a doubleheader. Week 2, there was a doubleheader. Week 3, there was none. Week 4, there was a doubleheader. And week 6, we're going to get a doubleheader. And do we get one in week 8? Let me check. No, there's not one in week 8. But it's just weird. It's weird. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why we have to do this. Why we have to have a doubleheader for week 6. Like, that was the joy and the beauty of having an NFL, having Monday Night Football. That was the beauty of having Monday Night Football be week 1 and having the doubleheader on week 1. Was that ESPN could put their content out there for the first 2 games of the first, week of the regular season. Now we have to have the doubleheader because we need to get more viewership in. And we need to get more viewership in. Well, not many people are going to watch the first game, are going to probably watch the first game, but when the second game comes on, they probably want to see how the end of the first game goes. Now, that's just me. I don't know if anybody else does that, but it's ridiculous. And we have a thing for that where you can watch every single game everywhere. It's called Red Zone, people. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And it makes it worse now because, and that's another thing. It makes it worse. This makes it worse because ESPN bought 10% of the NFL. So it's like they get all the NFL properties now. Most of the NFL properties that they do now. And in turn, NFL Network gets a 10% of ESPN, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm not a big financial guy, but it might seem like a lot. 10% might be huge. So this needs to, the double headers for Monday Night Football needs to end. I mean, poor Chris Fowler. Poor Chris Fowler. He has to call this, especially this week. He probably has to call Monday night. He has to call the Red River Showdown. He has to call a Red River rivalry probably because it's 2 SEC teams. He has to call the Red River Showdown. And then he has to call and then he's probably going to have to call a Monday night game. He's going to get one day off to fly from Texas, from the Cotton Bowl, to freaking wherever. And I think it's going to be Chicago. Is it Chicago or is it Washington? I think it's Washington. So either Washington or Atlanta he's going to have to fly to. I mean, and I don't want to hate on Chris Fowler, but he's not been particularly that good at calling college football games. If you have watched it this year, his college football calls have not been the best. particularly. And you look at a few years ago, his college football calls were incredible. Now, ESPN's wearing his voice out so much that by the time we get to the end of the season, like, is he going to be ready to go and ready to deliver an incredible call? And I'm one of the guys who has a pet peeve for announcers because I think that they should be valued the same way athletes should be valued as well. So, yeah. Wild stuff from the NFL. Wild stuff. Moving on now, let's get to bringing home the bacon. And let's talk about bringing home the bacon here. And I didn't dig too much to find anything. This week I decided let's go with a wide receiver for this week's winner. And this week's winner is Emeka Egbuka with 7 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown in a win over the Seahawks. Tampa Bay goes to 4-0 on the year. Tampa Bay is looking like a good team, looking like a very good team under Todd Bowles. Got to be careful, though, to watch out for those Tampa Bay Bucks, and especially the rookie Emeka Egbuka. What a find he's been. What a find he's been. He's probably one of the top candidates for Offensive Rookie of the Year right now. He's potentially the leading candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Congrats to him. Now moving on, we move into our Pigskin Primetime Picks. This week actually is going to be some fun. There's going to be some good games this week. We have 2 Monday night doubleheaders, which is wonderful. And we have a Sunday night game that actually is pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. So let's get into it. And I'm going to talk about our first pick here. The Eagles and Giants, Thursday Night Football on Prime. The Giants kind of right now trying to save their season. I doubt that they will. Brian Daboll, I think, probably will most likely get fired. When is he going to get fired is going to be the real question. Giants are going up against the Eagles here at MetLife Stadium. Giants are going to lose this game. I got Eagles by 10. This has been kind of a one-sided rivalry, and this is one of the more historic rivalries in the NFL, but it's been kind of one-sided lately. I got Eagles winning this one by 10 over the Giants at MetLife. Next one, and this is probably one of the bigger ones on Sunday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Detroit Lions. Now, this was a game from 2 years ago in 2023 when the Chiefs, after winning the Super Bowl, hosted the Detroit Lions, and Detroit on this incredible ride that they had where they went to the NFC Championship game, started their run against the Chiefs and won against the Chiefs at Arrowhead. How many teams do that? Now, fast forward about 2 years later, about a year later or so, 2 years later, here we are, and Detroit has really kind of looked like Detroit again after that brutal Week 1 loss to Green Bay. Kansas City, I thought that they were going to be able to compete. They need to get something going. I thought that, that win against the Ravens was the kick in the pants that they needed, the Giants. I thought that win against the Giants was the kick in the pants that they needed to get themselves going, because then they won against the Ravens, but a 2 steps forward, 1 giant step back with a loss to the Jaguars. So now you have the Lions, you have the Raiders, and the Commanders as your next 3 games. If they win against the Lions, I think they'll be sitting decently. Right now, they are kind of on the edge of a playoff spot. They are very much on the edge of a playoff spot. If the season were to end today, the Chiefs would be out of the playoffs. And the wild thing is the Chargers would be the division winner. So Kansas City got to step it up. This is a big-time game for the Chiefs. This is a must-win game, and I know every single game in the NFL is a must-win game, but this is a very big must-win game for Kansas City. They have to start winning these games, and they have to start winning these games in a big way. I got Chiefs by 3 in this one. I got Detroit losing this game in Arrowhead. Now we get on to the Monday Night Football games and the doubleheaders. First one here, Monday Night Football game number 1 is in Atlanta. The Buffalo Bills going to Atlanta after suffering a tough defeat to the New England Patriots. They play another primetime game in Atlanta against the Falcons. Atlanta has been decently good this year, particularly in primetime games. They've already won one primetime game this year against the Minnesota Vikings. So it is not surprising that Atlanta is going to be playing another primetime game against the Bills. I got the Bills winning this one, though. I got them bouncing back and winning by 7. Atlanta's a good team when they're running that rock with Bijan Robinson and they're running it with Tyler Algier and throwing it to Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney with Michael Penix leading the charge. I think it's going to be a good game. This is an underratedly good game, too. Underratedly good game from either of these teams. I got Bills by 7 in this one over the Falcons. And our last one was just last year, a rematch of last year in the insaneness that happened last year. Bears at Commanders. This is in Washington. The Commanders last year won off a Hail Mary from Jaden Daniels to Noah Brown, and there were memes all over the internet of Tyreek Stevenson giving up the play for a touchdown and him celebrating like the game was over. Fast forward now, it's Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson and this crew want to get it right. They had a bye this past week, so they are fresh and ready to go against the Commanders. The Commanders are just getting Jaden Daniels, got Jaden Daniels back last week, got the win last week, and now are hoping to see if Jaden Daniels can stay healthy. This is going to be an interesting game. I got Bears winning this one. I got Bears pulling off the upset here against the Washington Commanders. I think Chicago pulls out this win just simply because Jaden Daniels isn't healthy and he's not mobile. He has a knee injury. It's a knee sprain. And knee sprains are hard to move around in. Like, you can't really turn a certain way to be able to move. And Jaden Daniels, the key to his success is he likes to move with the football. He likes to move around, extend plays. So if he's not able to move around, extend plays, that's a big, big weakness for the Commanders. And I could see Caleb Williams and the Bears offense just pouncing on that Commanders team and the Commanders defense. And I got them winning this one close. I got them winning this by 7 over the Commanders on Monday Night Football. And with that does it for us here on another edition of Snap the Pigskin. Feel free to watch us on youtube.com/snapthepigskin or listen wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon, Google, wherever you can find us. We're still going to try and get those episodes up. I got to figure out a way to do that. Also, too, feel free to wear pink. It is October. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm wearing pink. I got this shirt that says, I wear pink for my mom. And support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please wear your pink. Pink is a really cool color. If you're not wearing pink, you're not really, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know that's wild to say, but what are you doing, especially on this month? So with that, I'm Noah Clark. We will see you next time for another edition of Snap the Pigskin.